Lou here. How many of you have seen a mobile game with an ad so terrible that it piqued your curiosity? Well, a few years ago on TikTok, of all places, I got bombarded with this particular ad.
I'm entering the palace with my sister today. Choose the personality? Of course, a kind personality.
Whoa.
Radiance, your majesty. Wow, she became a concubine. I must give her my blessings. Huh? Why did you push me? Why would she want to harm me?
I shall comfort you, concubine.
The concubine does not want you around, so I'm here to end you.
I mean, it just looks bad, right? The bad voice acting, the sudden 180 on whatever the plot for this ad is, and then a murder? Like, this can't be the actual story for the game. So I kept digging, I wanted to see if any of these ads feature any of actual gameplay. So I ended up going down this rabbit hole of even more shitty ads and found this glorious masterpiece to try and sell you this game that is a romance for some reason.
Give me a bite.
Ow.
Hey, trying to run?
Oh, I'm still baby.
Let me feed you into a fat baby.
No.
So, you can only be mine. Baby.
I'm dirty.
Yeah, so I absolutely had to try this game out because you can't give me that level of cringe advertising and expect me to have zero curiosity. Which, yeah, it meant it worked, but not really, since the actual point of this game is to dump your life savings into it, and I didn't do that because I'm smarter than that. So let's talk about Legend of the Phoenix. In case it wasn't obvious enough, this video is not sponsored. I'm pretty sure no sponsor would be okay with me shredding this game a new hole anyway. I also don't recommend this game because it's just so fucking egregious with trying to get you to spend money. So, I had some trouble looking up stuff for this game because there's a drama series in China also called Legend of the Phoenix. At first I thought it was weird, maybe an adaptation just because they came out so close together. And it's also about court palace drama, but nope, just a really weird coincidence. The game was released June 2020 by Moto Games. They're pretty niche with games that all look kinda samey to me. They all seem to be a knockoff of another existing game too, with Legend of the Phoenix and Starry Love both appearing to be a parody or knockoff of Love Nikki. I mean, I just recently started playing Love Nikki after falling in love with Infinity Nikki, so the similarities are pretty obvious. The game overall has decent reviews and a surprising amount of downloads overall, but a pretty low player count, and all recent reviews are pretty negative, with Moto Games trying to do damage control on the negative reviews. The main point of criticism is how expensive the in-game currency is and the lack of free-to-play opportunities. Just about every single thing in this game can be replenished with real-world money, so they really do try to get you several times while playing this game. So, let's see for ourselves how bad it is. You play as a self-insert who was murdered by the crown prince despite helping him ascend to the throne, but was given a second chance and sent back in time to get her revenge on the prince who murdered her. Just for a little clarification and history lesson here, this particular era of China the game is based on had the emperor father a lot of children, and I mean a lot of children, with consorts, concubines, and his wife, so it was pretty common for an emperor to have something crazy like 15 to 20 children. I'm terrible at memorizing dynasties and eras in general, just because of some have massive stretches of time, so I'd love if you guys could pinpoint exactly when this shit is, because it gets confusing for me, and I'll probably pin it in the comments. Now that she's sent back in time, her plan is to enter the palace as a maid, despite her status as a lord's daughter, and climb through the ranks to sabotage the crown prince to attain her revenge. I mean, if I were her, I'd murder him via simple sabotage or poisoning, but I mean, the emperor has a shit ton of backup plans, but we can't have it too interesting here, folks. This game does have an upwards of 200 chapters, and I'm not really invested enough to go that far, but at some point she meets European nobles, and then some of the side content really modernizes the story, so I have no idea how close to reality this game is trying to be when people have fucking Christmas trees and what's supposed to be 800s China? What's really weird is this game warns about themes of self-harm, loss of children, and trauma? To be honest, I don't see it yet, but even if there is themes of that later, I have zero faith a game like this would have the tact to write it with any careful consideration the way other games would. My goodness, there's a prisoner camp where we all know that historically people were treated horribly, and they just play it off like she got fired or some shit, and then make a gameplay mode out of it. It's just so weird. You also foster a child, and while that is brought up and is a point of conflict in one of the chapters, it's another system for rewards, and I think something about account XP. I legit can't seem to fathom how the foster system works despite it being explained to you. I'm like 20 chapters in, and it's highly repetitive at this point. Aside from meeting the prince who killed you, every plotline is just the character meeting the next baddie in the palace who wants to tear you down, and then you get a promotion for being just generally assertive. It's a shame because the story clearly has potential. It's all there plain as day, but because of its mechanic as a game, then the story just kind of halts itself to focus on some random characters who you don't meet again, and then the same copy-paste nasty lady or man. This game feels so damn overstimulating and has way too much to do. It's not like other gacha games where maybe there's a fishing mechanic here or a cooking mechanic there. No, there's a dress-up system like Love Nikki, event minigames, a Tamagotchi simulator with a cat, house decorating, water sorting minigames, fostering children, leaving town in an Oregon Trail-esque way, and more that it genuinely leaves you lost and confused. Yeah, the game tries to help you, but it's just way too many to buff out the game and make you think there's more to it when really there isn't. That said, I did genuinely like the Christmas and New Year's minigames. They were really fun, but I'd rather have an actual separate game than a bootleg of Love Nikki. Like, I feel like every time I finish a story chapter, it's another tutorial for another gameplay option. There's also a super shitty thing it does where you can't start the next chapter of the story unless you meet requirements like leveling up your bestie or going on 3 dates. This is harmless in the beginning and you could view it like maybe a good reminder to do your dailies, but then it gets such bullshit around chapter 40 or something like that, where it wants you to do more and it costs more as you progress. It actually gets to a point where it feels really money hungry because a lot of things you do replenish can cost money to fill up. Actually, this game also constantly reminds you that you can pay money for this or that, or spams you with things you can pay money for. Like, I'm used to my gacha games reminding me I can pay money if I want the thing, but this is so in your face about it that it feels downright diabolical. Though speaking for the visual novel side, the voice acting stops like, I think, 20 chapters. It's really weird. It feels kind of lazy, like they didn't want to pay for any more voice acting, so they just left it all blank aside from 2 gosh damn songs that play over and over again. Though the art style is genuinely very pretty, but I have a bad feeling later stuff is probably AI generated just because they seem like the type of company who wants to pay as little as possible to get something going, since a lot of the assets I see in game look kind of cheap and maybe purchased in some kind of asset store. The outfits are also kind of weird because, like, this is some sort of equivalent to a medieval fantasy, right? Then why the fuck is she wearing modern button-up shirts and jeans? Like, the kind you see in a clothing store. I don't know, it's a fantasy, so I guess anything goes, but jeans and a frilly button-up shirt in what's supposed to be 800s China is just really weird to me. The voice acting is also super, and I mean super, inconsistent. Sometimes it's pretty standard, you know, nothing Oscar worthy here, but then sometimes it's just so over the top and too dramatic that it sounds like a fan dub made by a bunch of people who aren't really into it and they just want to start it as a hobby on a Saturday night, you feel? Also, a lot of the voice actors, English isn't their first language, and that isn't a problem, but sometimes, like, some of them have pretty thick accents that it makes it a little hard to understand them when they're shouting in a dramatic scene. Also, I shit you not, the dude who does the voiceovers on the channel Explore With Us is a voice actor here, and it leaves me very confused on how a true crime channel narrator ended up here, but I'm not gonna question it. Finally, the quote dates you go on with the bachelors have completely different voice actors to do the generic romance lines like, "You're all I could ever want," and stuff like that. It's super weird and honestly jarring. Overall, the gameplay is overwhelming and constantly tries to get you to spend money, but is at least pretty to look at. This game isn't just a disappointment, it feels downright criminal sometimes. It's because I think the concept is really interesting, you know? A girl turns back time to get revenge on the prince who murdered her, and then add palace drama on top of that? Dude, in another writer's hands, that would be so much fun to read or watch. Unfortunately, this ended up being garbage with some really funny ads. At the very least, I recommend watching them just because they're so cringy and funny to look at. If you want to torture yourself though, you can play Legends of the Phoenix on Android, Apple, and PC. Though the PC version of the game has some pretty bad reviews because the game literally won't start, and I don't exactly trust this company to not put some freaky shit on my computer, so I'm personally not gonna try it. You guys let me know down below what you think of this game. Have you heard it, seen the ads, or played it before? I'm super curious, so let me know down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. If any of you would like to help support my channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description, along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who'd like to help with video ideas, or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!